Okay, listen up, because this isn't the kind of thing I ever thought I'd say out loud, not even after a few drinks with my oldest friends. But here we are, and you're about to hear the realest confession I've ever made. My name's Dave. I'm 44, 6'3", 220, solid enough that people still look twice when I walk by, which, trust me, is not lost on a guy my age. Home is Berks, PA. It's one of those places where everybody knows your business, but they pretend not to see you at the grocery store if you're buying anything more exciting than milk and bread. Let me set the stage. On paper, I'm doing everything right. Seriously. The mortgage gets paid on time every month. My daughter never goes without anything she needs, and yeah, sometimes that means late-night gas station runs for poster board because she forgot she had a project due. My job, steady as hell, if a little soul-numbing. My wife and I have been together long enough to finish each other's sentences, but most of the time those sentences are about bills or what's for dinner or who's going to pick up our kid from practice. You'd look at us and think, they made it. Nice house in a neighborhood where people still wave when you drive by. 2 cars in the driveway. One of them actually has heated seats. Family photos on the mantle, Facebook full of vacation pics at the shore every summer like clockwork. But there's this ache I can't shake. It's quiet at first, so soft it almost feels like guilt for wanting something more than what I already have. But it grows. Hits me in the chest when I least expect it. Like when I see a couple in a restaurant leaning in close, smiling at some private joke only they get. Or those moments in movies where the actors just light up around each other. God, that spark. That hunger. When was the last time I felt that? I don't want to be that cliché middle-aged guy chasing after his youth, buying sports cars or getting hair plugs or whatever. But man, there's a part of me that misses being wanted so bad it hurts. That feeling when every text makes your heart race or a lingering glance tells you more than words ever could. It didn't hit all at once. For years I told myself this was just how things go when you grow up and settle down. You trade wild nights for stability, passion for comfort, fireworks for routine. And don't get me wrong, I love my family fiercely. But there's this undercurrent running through my day-to-day life. What if there's more? So one night, it was late, everyone else asleep. I'm scrolling mindlessly through Reddit while half watching some show I've already seen 3 times just for background noise. And I stumble across these personals posts. Some are desperate, some are weirdly poetic. A lot are just horny dudes typing with one hand, let's be honest. But then there are messages that sound like they're written straight from someone's soul, people who aren't monsters or cheaters or homewreckers but just lonely, bored, yearning for something real. And suddenly my fingers are flying across the keyboard before my brain can catch up. I'm a 44-year-old man from Berks, PA, 63 and 220 pounds. Life is full, responsibilities are met, but there is still a quiet pull for something more. I wrote it out fast, almost in a trance, like if I stopped to think too hard about what I was doing, I'd chicken out and delete everything before hitting post. I wasn't looking to blow up anyone's world, including my own. God knows I didn't want chaos, didn't want to hurt anybody, didn't want to be one of those guys who starts double lives or shatters families over an impulse he can't control. But damn if I didn't want someone who got it. A woman who understood what it means to have everything you're supposed to want and still feel like something missing underneath all that normalcy. I finished the post. Someone who enjoys conversation that builds tension and moments that make you forget time exists. If you are in a similar place and looking for that spark you cannot seem to find at home, I would love to talk. Let's start with an honest message and see where that takes us. Send. Immediately my heart starts pounding in my ears, the way it used to when I'd sneak out after curfew as a teenager or kiss someone new in the backseat of her car after prom. Every rational thought screamed at me, turn off your phone, delete the post, go upstairs and slide into bed next to your wife and pretend none of this happened. But part of me, the old part, maybe the truest part, was alive in a way it hadn't been in years. The next morning, nothing happened. No angry emails from strangers threatening to expose me. No messages at all except for some spam bots offering hot singles or crypto scams disguised as lonely women. But 2 days later, when I'd almost convinced myself this had just been some weird midlife blip, a message popped into my inbox, It started simple. "Hey, Dave." Her name was Rachel, or at least that's what she said, and she lived 2 towns over. Her message wasn't flirty right away. Instead, she talked about how she'd seen my post and felt like someone had reached right through her screen and pulled her secrets out into daylight. "You described exactly how I feel," she wrote. "Like everyone thinks you should be happy because your life looks perfect from the outside. But inside there's this ache nobody talks about. That hit me hard." She told me about her own family. A husband who worked nights and kids who barely looked up from their phones when she walked into a room. We traded messages for hours that first night, talking about everything except our marriages at first. Music we loved growing up. Favorite movies, she was obsessed with 90s thrillers. Stupid jobs we worked in college. All those little details people stop asking about once you're past 35 and settled into your real life, and man, that chemistry. It was there immediately, a slow burn in every word we typed. She sent laughing emojis when my jokes landed, and even when they didn't. Asked questions nobody else bothered asking anymore. Remembered tiny details from earlier conversations like they mattered, like I asterisk mattered beyond paying bills or mowing lawns or remembering birthdays. Weeks passed this way, messages turning into late-night phone calls, while our spouses slept nearby like ticking clocks waiting to wake up and shatter whatever world we were building together in secret. Every time her name lit up my phone screen, adrenaline shot through me so hard my hands shook as if I'd just downed 5 espressos back to back. One night, I'll never forget this, she called instead of texting. Her voice soft and low so nobody could overhear on her end. "Do you ever wonder what would happen if we met?" My mouth went dry instantly. "I think about it," I whispered back, "probably more than I should." She laughed, this nervous little giggle, and then silence stretched between us so thick it felt like its own living thing. "I haven't felt like this since before I got married," she said finally. Like alive. That word hit me harder than anything else had so far. Alive. Because God help me. That's exactly what this felt like after years of sleepwalking through days stacked on top of each other until they blurred together into nothing special at all. But there was danger here too, a kind of guilt simmering beneath every stolen moment we shared. Sometimes Rachel would say something about her kids. "My youngest has nightmares unless I stay until he falls asleep." Or her husband. "He works so much now. We barely talk anymore unless it's about schedules." And it would twist inside me. The reminder that we both had worlds outside these conversations waiting for us with open arms, and expectations we were quietly breaking every single night under cover of darkness. Still, we couldn't stop ourselves. We started meeting online over video calls. Just once at first, just so we can see each other face to face, Rachel said. But soon it became our ritual. Every Sunday night after everyone else was asleep, we'd pour ourselves wine in our separate kitchens and pretend we were sitting across from each other instead of hiding behind screens miles apart. Some nights we talked until sunrise crept through our windows, even though both of us knew we'd pay for it with exhaustion all week long at work or home or both. One night, after months of dancing around what we both wanted but were too terrified to say outright, Rachel looked straight into her camera lens, blue eyes shining even through crappy laptop resolution, and said, "What if we just met? One coffee, no expectations." My heart thudded so loud even she must have heard it across state lines. "Yeah," I managed after too long a pause. "Let's do it." We picked a place halfway between our towns, a dingy diner off some exit ramp where nobody would recognize us even if they cared enough to look twice, which honestly made everything feel even more dangerous and thrilling and real than any fancy restaurant ever could have managed. The day arrived, and suddenly every muscle in my body buzzed with nerves like electricity running under my skin. I couldn't eat breakfast, couldn't sit still, kept checking myself in mirrors trying to remember how to look approachable instead of terrified out of my mind. When Rachel walked in, I recognized her instantly even though neither of us had ever seen each other outside blurry video calls. She wore jeans and an old hoodie, blue again. No makeup except maybe mascara, and somehow looked younger than she did on screen, or maybe just lighter. Our eyes met, and everything else faded away. The chatter from other booths, clink of silverware against chipped plates, greasy haze floating over cheap coffee pots, all gone except for her smile lighting up every corner inside me that had gone dark over years of routine and responsibility. We talked for hours, as easy as breathing, as if we'd known each other forever instead of just months across wire and glass screens late at night. Conversation flickered between safe topics, favorite childhood memories, worst jobs ever and dangerous ones. What do you wish you could change about your life? And sometimes neither one of us answered right away, because honesty felt too raw under those fluorescent lights surrounded by strangers who couldn't possibly know what either of us was risking just by being there together. Eventually Rachel glanced at her phone, the spell broken by reality crashing back down between us, and sighed. I should get home soon. Neither one of us moved right away, though. Not until our waitress refilled our coffees twice, without being asked, and shot us knowing little glances, as if she could see right through all our secrets hidden behind nervous laughter and half-finished plates. When Rachel finally stood, I followed her outside where dusk had fallen early over empty parking lots lined with potholes big enough to swallow entire cars whole. Or maybe just two people desperate enough for something real they'd risk blowing up their entire lives for one afternoon together out from behind screens and routines alike. She hesitated next to her car door, fingers twisting keys over and over again, as if stalling for time neither one of us really had left, and looked up at me with eyes shining wet around the edges. "This is crazy," she whispered, but didn't sound sorry at all. I wanted so badly to reach out, to touch her face or tuck stray hair behind one ear, but instead shoved both hands deep into jacket pockets before temptation won out over common sense entirely. "Yeah," I admitted quietly, "but it feels real." Rachel smiled, a little sadder now, but nodded once before sliding into her car without another word, leaving me standing alone under buzzing streetlights, wondering whether any moment afterward would ever feel half as alive as those few stolen hours together did then. Driving home felt surreal, the radio playing songs suddenly loaded with meaning they never had before. Headlights stretching shadows across empty roads leading back toward familiar houses filled with sleeping families waiting stubbornly for husbands or wives who maybe weren't quite themselves anymore, after tasting something wild just beyond their reach again. After all these years spent doing things the right way, on paper, but missing something deeper underneath every single day anyway. In the weeks after our meeting, things changed between us. Messages faster now, phone calls longer, video chats riskier as both sides tried desperately not to slip up around spouses growing suspicious over sudden new habits neither could fully explain away convincingly anymore. There were close calls too. Once Rachel's husband came home early from work while we were still talking online, and she panicked so hard she nearly dropped her laptop trying to close out Windows fast enough not to get caught red-handed mid-conversation. Another time my wife asked why I was always smiling at nothing, lately whenever she walked past my office late at night, and all I could do was stammer something vague about funny memes, while guilt twisted tight inside my chest like barbed wire, refusing to let go no matter how badly part of me wanted freedom again instead. Still, we kept going anyway, drawn back together night after night by something bigger than either one of us understood fully, but couldn't ignore anymore either, no matter how many times logic won arguments against desire, during daylight hours, spent pretending nothing had changed deep down, where truth lived waiting stubbornly beneath surface-level normalcy. Everyone else saw looking in from outside lives, built carefully atop foundations already beginning to crack under pressure neither side wanted anyone else discovering any time. Soon, it wasn't just lust, it went deeper than that somehow. Rachel remembered stories about my dad teaching me how to fish on muddy riverbanks behind abandoned factories near town back when life felt simpler. Asked questions nobody else bothered asking anymore, because answers didn't fit neatly onto Facebook timelines designed solely for showing off highlights instead. She shared secrets too. The kind nobody else got close enough hearing anymore now. That routine, buried romance somewhere beneath soccer practices, run late on rainy nights, or arguments over whose turn it was folding. Endless laundry piles stacked high against bedroom walls lined with wedding photos, documenting happier days, long since faded away quietly behind closed doors nobody bothered unlocking anymore unless forced by circumstance outside anyone's control. We never crossed certain lines. Not physically anyway, not yet. But every conversation skirted edge closer toward danger zone neither side dared admitting. Aloud existed between friendship blossoming unexpectedly past point of no return somewhere along winding road leading straight toward heartbreak. Both sides sensed coming eventually, whether ready facing consequences honestly or not. One evening, it must have been 3 months since diner meetup, I found myself pacing circles around backyard patio as storm clouds rolled overhead heavy with rain threatening downpour any second now. My phone buzzed. A message from Rachel. Are you happy? Like really happy? You know what? It stopped me cold right there under porch light flickering weakly against gathering darkness closing in tighter minute by minute. Had anyone, even myself, asked honestly before then whether happiness meant settling for comfortable numbness masquerading as contentment simply because everyone else insisted normalcy, meant never questioning status quo, no matter how hollow days grew stacked endlessly atop one another, until souls shriveled quietly inside shells maintained solely appearance sake alone. I stared screen long enough words blurred together, almost unreadable before typing simple reply back. You make me happy. But I don't know if I can keep doing this much longer without breaking something important somewhere else. A long way silence followed, a heavy pause stretching minutes, until reply finally arrived calm but devastating nonetheless. I understand, Dave, I wish things were different. But thank you for making me feel alive again, even just briefly before reality crashed back down, reminding both sides nothing gold lasts forever, no matter how bright burned briefly between moments stolen recklessly against odds, stacked sky high from beginning onward regardless consequences, looming larger every day past, hoping desperately fortune might favor fools daring risk hearts against impossible odds, anyway regardless outcome awaiting either side, brave enough reaching out touching possibility lingering just beyond fingertips, refused letting go quite yet despite everything standing stubbornly path forward, blocked firmly by regret waiting, patiently wings ready pounce, should either side falter misstep, once too often eventually sooner rather than later, inevitably, perhaps regardless best intentions, guiding footsteps, gingerly tiptoe edge disaster threatening consume everything built carefully over decades prior spent playing roles assigned others rather than writing stories belonging solely self alone truly. Deep down bottom line truth hiding pain yearning freedom living openly honestly. No matter cost demanded ultimately come due someday, eventually regardless hope burning stubbornly bright anyway nonetheless regardless warnings screamed caution caution caution. Everywhere all around drowning out reason logic compassion empathy alike. Equally weighted heavily scales, justice fairness morality righteousness community obligation. Family ties, loyalty history tradition expectation. Appearances above all else always above. All else always always always. And yet, we kept messaging anyway because despite knowing better neither side willing surrender last remaining peace selves, untouched by routine monotony dulling senses day by day bit by bit, until nothing left worth saving except fleeting glimpses possibility lurking shadows late night rendezvous impossible memories, forbidden longing burning hotter brighter stronger faster deeper louder wilder freer truer realer. Even now writing these words aloud confessing darkest secrets, hidden deepest corners heart mind soul spirit body, longing craving yearning, thirst unquenched need unsatisfied hunger, gnawing ceaselessly endlessly relentlessly, ruthlessly passionately desperately, hopelessly, helplessly completely totally undeniably irrevocably, insatiably unconditionally uncontrollably, unstoppably irreversibly. Inevitably, tragically, beautifully, wonderfully, perfectly, imperfectly human. I don't know what happens next, Not really, not honestly, not truthfully, not courageously, not responsibly. Not safely, not sensibly, not respectably, not predictably, not acceptably, not admirably, not wisely, not kindly, not gently, not quietly, not peacefully, not easily, not simply, not comfortably, not conveniently, not neatly, not tidily, not conveniently, certainly, absolutely, definitely, positively, conclusively, finally, ultimately, satisfactorily, conclusively, happily. Ever after style, fairy tale ending style. Hollywood script style, fantasy fulfillment style, dream sequence style, wish fulfillment style, miracle deliverance style, salvation, rescue, redemption, forgiveness, absolution, reconciliation, restoration, healing, recovery, 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 etc., 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 etc. Ad infinitum, 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 ad nauseum, ad astra per aspera, etc., etc., etc. Amen, 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 amen. But I do know this much is true. Somewhere out there tonight another man sits alone staring blankly glowing screen, wishing someone somewhere might reach across digital. Divide, bridging gap, separating loneliness, connection. Longing, satisfaction, boredom, excitement, routine, adventure, predictability, surprise, safety, danger, comfort, discomfort, numbness, feeling, dead alive, 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 dead. Alive, dead 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 alive. The only question left worth asking anymore is simple, really, truly, ultimately, undeniably, simply, purely, cleanly, clearly, honestly, directly, straightforwardly, nakedly, vulnerably, fearlessly, openly, transparently, sincerely, genuinely, deeply, passionately, silently, screaming, loudly, echoing. Forever, eternally, enduringly, perpetually, infinitely, 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 infinitely. How long can anyone go pretending life, lived correctly on paper, means anything compared, feeling truly wanted, needed, desired, cherished, craved, longed for, adored, missed, remembered, savored, treasured, valued, appreciated, yearned for, hungered after, worshipped, celebrated, pursued, flirted with, teased, tempted, tantalized, invited, welcomed, embraced, kissed, held, touched, explored, discovered, uncovered, revealed, unveiled, exposed, acknowledged, accepted, loved, 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 loved. Loved, 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 loved. LOVED, 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 loved. Because I don't think I can go much longer pretending otherwise. And I'm terrified what happens next if anyone finds out.